Thank you for the invitation, everyone. So my message today is called Choosing to be Born. And you might be wondering why I chose this subject. However, I must confess that I didn't choose it. You see, my desire is that every time I speak to you, that the power of God comes through me and brings something forth that will touch you and your spirit and something that you can take with you. And it is from that desire that is within me to bring that, which that desire comes from Spirit or from God, which speaks through me, that I bring forth whatever it is that is mine to share. So in other words, I didn't choose the message, only the desire to produce something meaningful and worthwhile. And why is this important for me to share? Well, I share this because I do take credit for the writing. But the inspiration is really, truly from my desire. What I desire to bring, what I desire to do on these Sundays that I speak. And it is from that desire that the voice of God or the Spirit of God comes through me to share what is mine to share. And every week, before I speak, and when I'm getting the message, I say this off and on throughout the week. I say, it is not I, but the Christ within who does the work. And that's important because it reminds me to stay centered on that Christ within, to stay centered on Spirit, to stay in that place where I know the truth is going to come. And it's amazing how it comes through. And if you've ever had that experience, which I know some of you have, you know how powerful that really is. So today I'm here to talk to you about desire, about choice, choosing things, the I am, and also about this Lenten season. But first, let us affirm together our statements of truth. I am a child of God. I am deserving of good in my life. I am accepting my good now. Thank you. Well, I have a question, of course. And the question is, did you choose to be born?
Yes.
Yeah. And some of you saying yes. Some of you are maybe going maybe. Some of you are saying, oh no. Yeah, maybe you didn't choose this life. I don't know. But you know what? It does depend on what kind of to be born I'm talking about, doesn't it? Yeah. Because in an earthly physical sense, I might be talking about your birth parents getting together and having sex and creating the cells that about to form each and every one of you, right? And then in a spiritual sense, I might be talking about your spirit choosing to come onto this earthly plane and be that expression of God in this physical body that you're in. Or I might be talking about your mind thinking, oh yes, today I want to be born, I want to be reborn, I want to be in that power of God, or whatever you're thinking as a child of God, right? Well, let's look first at our physical bodies and how it was created. What happens with the human cells? The cells fuse together, they fertilize, and produce an embryo that grows into a human body, correct? Everybody took science class? Yeah. And each and every cell, though, each and every cell does what it is to do, correct? And to create this beautiful being that is each of you. Yeah. Isn't that cool? And each and every cell is energy. It's energy moving that responds to what's happening in it and around it and through it. And we know this because, they've done tons of research about when you're in womb and all the good things that you should do while your mother is pregnant with you. And every one of these cells is controlled by what we think and feel. Every single one of them. So my question then becomes, so is it possible that even in the very beginning of that very first cell, whether it was the sperm or the ova, had a desire to be reproduced to form you? Do you think that first little cell, one of them, or maybe both of them, desired to come together and form you? I believe it can happen. I believe it's possible. And Reverend Warren often speaks about kenosis. And I'm stealing it from him today. Yes, I'm choosing it to use it in my lesson. But basically, kenosis is choosing to be born in the human form. This concept is our choice to come to this earthly state to experience as God would have us be. Now, a proper definition is multi-layered, and it is. In Christian context, kenosis is the concept of the self-emptying of one's own will, giving up your own will, and becoming entirely receptive to God and the divine will, which we already know that our will and God's will are what? One. There we go. It is also used as an explanation of the incarnation, which is particularly a simple explanation of God's process of transforming the believer into the icon or likeness of God, which this leads us to incarnation. Incarnation literally means embodied in flesh or taking on flesh. It refers to the conception and birth of a conscious creature who is the material manifestation of an entity, God, or force. Now, all that fits with what we believe, doesn't it? Yeah, we believe we came of God. In other words, we came into this world or incarnated from the oneness of God into these physical bodies, and we embody them, this flesh, that is our cells that have created, right? Whatever our cells created, each one of us is that creation of those cells. And it came from that divine idea working in the womb of our birth mothers. So kenosis, though, therefore, is a paradox because we empty ourselves and then we embrace divine will, while still united with God, and then we manifest into a physical sense. You see that? And no wonder, then, it can take a lifetime for us to really feel like we have our relationship with God, and to know that we are one with God, and to experience that on each and every minute of the day, right? Yeah, because it's a paradox. It's kind of confusing. And we do get confused sometimes in that natural process. Now, most of Christianity thinks that the only being to be incarnated was Jesus, because some denominations think that only Jesus was the expression of God, and that he was the only one who embodied the Christ. But we in Unity know differently, don't we? Yes, we believe that the Christ is within each of us, and that Jesus modeled that truth for us to embrace and to live from. And in the Bible, John 10, there is a great example of not only Jesus proclaiming this to us, but also Jesus stating the truth about us embracing our greatness. And it is entitled, Jesus is Rejected by the Jews. And this story is about Jesus going to the temple. And the Jews began questioning Jesus' authenticity. And they asked him, "Are you the Messiah?" And Jesus answered with this. He said, "I have told you, and you do not believe me." Anybody ever been there? Yeah. "The works that I do in my Father's name give evidence to me. But you do not believe, because you do not belong to my sheep. My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me." Now, you know Jesus talked in parables, but the sheep represent our natural life that flows into man's consciousness from spirit. In other words, the super consciousness or a God. And that is where we hear all the messages and we know our truth, right? But Jesus went on to say to the Jews, "I give them eternal life. They will never perish. No one will snatch them out of my hand. What my Father has given me is greater than all else, and no one can snatch it out of the Father's hand. The Father and I are one." Now this has several powerful messages in it. In the first line, "I give them eternal life," meaning we never die. In spirit we live on beyond this physical sense, which is also the message of Easter. So we know even though our loved ones have gone on before us, the spirit of them is still with us, and we can still experience that. And what is it that our Father has given us that no one can snatch from us? It is the Christ within. And when Jesus said, "The Father and I are one," it is also the reason why we can also know this to be true for ourselves, that the Father and I are one. Everybody say that together with me. The Father and I are one. Well, this was not the end of the interrogation by the Jews of Jesus. No, they thought Jesus was being arrogant, if you can imagine that, by claiming that God and him were one. They thought, "How dare you? You can't be saying that. can't be saying you and God are one. You can't say you're an expression of God. You ever feel like that you might be sounding conceited or all-powerful like God if you say that? I know people have felt that way before. I've felt that way before. Well, Jesus threw back a little Old Testament, which is also known as the Hebrew Bible. You know, Hebrew, Jew. Okay. And he said to those Jews, he said, is it not written in your law? I said, you are God's. So he throws back some of their own language and some of their own words. And you'd think that that would be enough to convince them and us of our ability. But then Jesus had to send a final clarification. And he said, if I am not doing the works of my Father, then do not believe me. That's justifiable, right? If we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, you don't have to believe me. But if I do them, even though you do not believe me, believe the works, so that you may know and understand that the Father is in me and I am in the Father. Now, each one of us here know that we are capable of greater works, don't we? Yeah, we get those messages all the time, but we don't always follow through. But how many of you are willing to clarify to others that they can do them too? And how many of you are willing to admit to each and every person that you can do amazing things? How many of you would stand up and say that to your friends that don't come to Unity? Very good. I love the hands up. Yeah. Because it's important for us to claim that for ourselves. It's important for us to know what we can do. And it's important for us to go out and say that. Jesus did that. He's showing us an example that, hey, it's all there. It's all justifiable. It is within each and every one of us. And just because I'm doing something great doesn't mean you can't do something great. And just because I'm doing something great doesn't mean the next person can't come along and do that great thing too. And we have to celebrate that together in order for more people to step forward in what is theirs to do. But sometimes we seem to stumble when we have to speak our truth or say something. Well, I'm pretty good at sewing. Or I'm pretty good at gardening. Some people kind of downplay it almost. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty good at it. No, you're a master gardener. You're a master seamstress. Whatever it is you do, and you're more than capable of doing it, and you do a fantastic job. Why not say that about yourself? It's not bragging. It's truth. If it's truth, then speak that truth. I'm a great artist. I'm doing whatever it is that you're doing. Speak that truth and be proud of it. That's what Jesus is saying. And when we speak truth, we speak truth. And we know that even in this ministry, we've had some wonderful healings. Like when Rodney walked in today, I said I was talking about you. But Bill and Rodney and Willie and BJ, they've all had wonderful healings. They've all freed themselves from pain and disease. Haven't you? Yeah. Yes. And who did this? Who did this for you? The Christ within. Thank you. It was the Christ within each and every person, connected to the power of the prayers, the right thinking, and holding the highest good for each other. You see, our collective consciousness held our desire and made the choice for the highest good. Isn't that true? Yes. We didn't listen to all the other CRAP. No. We focused in on what we desired in our life. We want perfect health. We want to be whole. We want to be able to sing again. Hello, Billy. Yes. And we sought out the highest good, and that's what it's about. Each and every person who has ever felt that power with anything that you did, who received a blessing, made the choice to have their desire answered by affirming through the I am. And the I am is the Christ. It was through that Christ within you. And Jesus demonstrated this for us. He had to choose to come to this earth to show us the possibilities for us. It is the I am, the Christ in us, that chooses to behold all that is good. And from Talks on Truth, Fillmore writes, it is this I am that is born of flesh and born of spirit. It is not flesh, neither is it spirit. if by spirit is meant a state of consciousness. Now this is a little confusing, but pay attention. It is just I am, the center from which all states of consciousness are generated. Speaking definitely, it is never born into any state of consciousness because it always transcends all conditions. So you see, Fillmore is pointing to us that the I am, or the Christ of us, is always that energy that is the oneness of God. And do you hear in that statement that it transcends all conditions? That means it's always there, always doing the highest good, and it has nothing to do with all the CRAP that is going around us, or anything that is any condition that somebody has labeled for us. No, it has to do with that transcendent energy that is the I am within us. And we can feel that power of the I am within us when we rest in the silence or when we pray. And we definitely see the power of the I am when we have answered prayer, don't we?
Yes.
Whether it is a prayer for health, a prayer for prosperity, a prayer for guidance, a prayer for peace. The I am brings forth that which we desire, and we claim it for ourselves or whomever we are praying for or with. And when I say claim, I don't mean, oh yeah, it's going to happen. When I say claim, I mean claim it with conviction and confidence, knowing that your prayer is going to be answered. 100%. It's going to be answered. And when we have that conviction, we can also have it for someone else. We can claim it for somebody else. When somebody else still can't see it for themselves, we can claim it for them. That's why it's important to share what you want prayer over. To share that energy and power, that collective consciousness that we can all bring together for each other. And I have to tell you, that there have been several times in these last few weeks that I have seen answered prayer, and when I just claimed, and I dropped it at that, I said, nothing is lost in divine mind. And you say it with confidence and conviction. Nothing is lost in divine mind. And you know what we found? We found jewelry. We have found, what else? Keys, a couple of times. This is just in the last couple weeks around this building. So it's possible to just see it happen in simple little things or in major things as far as body healings and stuff go. And the important thing is that all of us can do this. Do you believe that you can?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes.
Yes. Fillmore states this. I am may choose to be born into the flesh, and it may choose to be born into the spirit. By its decision, it sets in motion the machinery of the universe to carry out its will. And what will are we talking about here? The will of God. That is our will too. Legends of angels hasten to obey its call when it knows who and what it is. This is the conviction and confidence that I'm speaking about. This is when we know that we know. And if anyone tells you, or you hear anyone else tell anyone, oh, aren't you conceited? Aren't you the one that thinks you're all it? You say no. Because Jesus wasn't conceited, was he? No. And he performed all kinds of miracles, didn't he? Yes. And we've seen miracles here, so nobody here is conceited. No. And is a doctor conceited in the operating room? No. Confident? I would hope so. And thank you, God, that they are. But it takes conviction and confidence to choose to be born. So I automatically know that each and every one of you are confident and have conviction because each one of you were born. Correct? Yeah. And we are always in that motion of that energy. We are always in that place where the cells that created you and me and is the energy that is still moving and creating and redesigning us and our bodies over time. And our spirits, can we say the same thing? Are we allowing them to grow and create and be all that we can be as true expressions of that I am? I hope so. I hope so. And the legends of angels that Fillmore talks about, it's actually a reference to Matthew 22:53. is another assurance that our spirits are always connected to those who have gone before us and have gone back to that oneness of God. Because those legends of angels are the spiritual energy that comes forth when you need that little boost. That spiritual energy that comes forth and says, yes, it's coming for you. That spiritual energy that just kind of like hugs you when you need that hug. And it's there if we allow it to be in our lives. And all we have to do is desire it here on this earth and demonstrate it into our life through the support of that synergy that we call spirit. Our bodies, our minds, our spirit are the I am. And Fillmore says, the ego, or the I am, functions in these states of consciousness, say it with me, consciousness, thank you, according to its desire. The moving factor of the I am is desire. It desires a certain experience. On the wings of that desire, it carries itself to a place where it can be fulfilled. In the process of fulfillment, the ego may forget that it has ever so desired, but the law never forgets. So that's when our ego can be a good thing, but it also can be a bad thing if we allow the ego to take control instead of the will. So my next question is, what do you desire? What is it that you desire? Think about that. Because we know we have desired things in the past and we allowed our ego to get in the way, and the entire thing ended up in what? Disaster, chaos, craziness. And we also know that when we desired something and we prayed about it and we saw that vision of it and we let go of it and we gave it to God, and the perfect thing manifested in our lives, and we were grateful. And we were so grateful because we knew it was the Spirit of God moving in and through us. I think we all know the difference in those two scenarios. And I think we've all experienced one or the other, or both. And our consciousness, our I am, and our Christ self are not three separate things, but they are all the same. And when we center and align perfectly with God, we ignite that power which is always moving in and through us. That is what Jesus did, and what he was saying to us. That is why we are able to do these same things and greater. Because my consciousness and your consciousness build a powerful energy within the ultimate, all-powerful presence of the one power and presence, God the Good. And this is important because in the beginning, it is linked to the desire is linked to the choice. When we have this desire and we get that message that we are following God's will, we know that we're going to make the right choice. And that what is demonstrated is going to be for our highest good. But when we veer off of that path and don't follow that divine will, then that's when the choice sometimes goes the other way. And all we have to do in that moment that we don't see the clear path, just jump back on the right path, don't we? Yes. Go back to what we desired in our hearts and souls and say, wait, that isn't what I was desiring. And pray about it and think about it and allow that perfect choice to come through. That's all we have to do. That's why it's important to know what you desire and to know how to follow that inner guidance that we call the Christ, that we call that I am. Now, during this Lenten season, we can use this time to get rid of negative thinking or things in our life that block our highest good. This we know, right? That's what we always say Lent is about. We can also use this time to prepare ourselves for the awareness of life. Jesus demonstrated that there is no death, only life. And we can use this Lenten season as a time to discover what our hearts really long for, what we truly desire in our lives, and begin to affirm those desires by claiming the I am or the Christ consciousness. And when I say claim the I am, I mean claim those truths for yourself, capital T truths for yourselves. Use our affirmations to know who and what you are and hold these truths with conviction. So we're going to use desire, choosing, and claim the I am blank. I am whatever you want to put in there for your desire. I am perfect health. I am that perfect expression of that perfect job or whatever it is. And then, please demonstrate all that you are and choose to be born. Thank you for being here today.